Hello there, this is Sunni Fung. I hope you're all doing good. I'm back again with another unboxing video. This time it is the case. In this case, pun intended, it's the SGPC K39 V2. It comes in this rather small box. It's rather small. The case is supposed to be quite small, so you know what? I might as well just shift straight to the other camera. So I'll move my mouse out of the way first. So the box in itself is quite minimalist. SGPC logo out, and then it's got Warhunsia, which means I'm very small. And then there's actually not anything around the box apart from the sticker on here, which is the K39 V2. The V1 had, I believe, hexagon patterns for the ventilation, whereas V2 has got slots like you'll see from on many PCs. Right, now let's try and open this up. Let's pull this tab out. Now open this up. Okay, what does this come with? First things first, it comes with a very cheap looking USB 2.0 hub. Not something I need, but okay. Let's have a look what else there is in here. There is the PCIe extension ribbon cable. This will be needed if you want to use a graphics card, because very similar to the Velka 3, the graphics card is on the back side of the computer. Right, now let's just pull this out slowly. And right, so that's there. So inside of here as well, we've got, let me just get this out now. This literally, it's a folded piece of A4 which gives you installation instructions in Chinese, but I'm sure people, you know, might figure that out anyway. Then there is also a bag in here. So you know what? We'll start with the bag first. So in the bag, you get 2 screws here. I'm not sure what these screws are. These look like they're possibly replacement screws for the side panels. Don't know if that's going to focus or not. There we go. You get... Oh no, they're not for that, are they? Or are they? I can't tell. So there are 2. There's this little thing which I believe is for the handle at the top of the case. And I think these screws are supposed to go in here on the inside to mount it on top. A couple of zip ties. You know, probably for cable management later down the line. Now I'm not too sure what these are quite thick metal washers. I'm not sure what they're for personally. You got some adhesive feet. There are 4. So let me just see if that focuses there. There we go. So that'll go on the bottom of the case when you finish installing everything. And here we just got a bunch of screws in a sealed packet. I'm guessing that's a combination of... I actually don't know. It's a combination of different size screws. I'm not sure what they're for. But yeah, they're the accessories that come with this case. Let's have a look now. What else have we got here? Just, you know what? I'll seal this back up afterwards. So, that's the case itself. This is using soft foam, which I like. Great protection. So, first bit of soft foam off there, second bit of soft foam off here. Out of the way. And now, there's just a clear plastic bag. And with that, the case is out. And this, I actually like this because this actually has black screws. So it actually looks very nice. So this is from the front. This on the left side. Same thing on the right side, basically. From the top. And then from the bottom. And lastly, from the back. So, this case is absolutely tiny. So you know what, I'll give a very quick overview on what it's about. So this case, in a practical sense, is like a Velka 3 clone in many ways. It's quite small. It's supposedly got a volume which is, let me just have a look now, I believe about 4 litres, 3.9 litres, 3.9 litres is what they say. So on their page, they say that the dimensions are 22 centimeters in height, 18 centimeters in depth. Wait, I was gonna, so 22 in height this way, 18 in depth, which is this way, and then width of 10. I'm just gonna get a rule just to check that, because some measurements can be off. I need to find my rule. There we go. This time I'm coming out with the big engineer rule. So the front side here, I'm going to start with where it says 10. So the width I've got here at the front is 10.8. 10.8. So it's slightly wider than they mention in terms of height. It's probably best off doing it in the side panel side, because that's where you'll get most accurate measurements. And I'll have to start at a different point here. I'll start where it starts at 1. So the height appears to be around about 22, bang on. And then the width should be 18, supposedly. What are we actually going to get? 18.4. So their measurements of 22 by 18 by 10 give a volume of 3.9 litres, which would be a little bit smaller than the Velka 3. But the reality is that's not the case, because as I've measured, it's slightly bigger. So the width I measured was 10.8. The height was 22, and then the depth was 18.4, which then gives you an actual volume of about 4.3, 4.4 litres. That's not actually that big of a difference, if we're being honest. This thing would easily fit in most backpacks. So what I want to do now is just give you guys an overview of what this case is all about. So I'm just going to unscrew the side panels just real quickly, just so you can see what we are dealing with in the SGPC K39 V2. So the side panels are screwed in with 4 countersunk screws. I'm not sure what the size of the screws are per se, but you can see those. With the red version and the silver version, I believe the screws are silver. In the black version, they've got black screws, which I really appreciate. I think they should have black screws in all of them, but well, apart from the silver one. So this is the side panel. I'll put it this way. So I believe this looks like it's an anodized finish, and one side is countersunk for obvious reasons. If you look at the side though, there is a slight bow to it. It's not completely flat. So when you do screw it in, you will have to manipulate the panel to make it fit properly. And I will unscrew this side panel as well, just so it gives you an idea of what we're dealing with. Once again, 4 countersunk screws that bring this together. And you can already see the flex of the side panel as I'm unscrewing it. So once again, it's the same thing, but this panel you can see there's a bit of a curve on this, from front to back, a bit of bowing there, and also a bit of bowing. Well, there's less bowing this side, but it's more pronounced from front to back. Don't know if it's obvious on the camera or not, but yeah. They're not completely flat. You can't expect them to come flat. They are basically made from fabricated from sheet metal. So, getting down to this now. On the right hand side, you can see in here, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 mounting holes. This will be for your mini ITX motherboards. They're the standoff, so you'll mount your motherboard onto there. At the bottom side here is where the power supply would sit. In this case, it would be a Flex ATX power supply. And at the top, there's just some ventilation. On this side, 2 screws here. This is for the mounting for the PCI extension ribbon cable, in which your graphics card will sit. And when you look at the back, it all becomes more clear. You've got this opening here, which is for your rear I/O panel. This opening here with this with 4 screw mounts. This is for your Flex ATX power supply, though you'd only end up using up to 3 of the mounts, depending on how you orientate it. Power supply, 2 PCIe slots there for your graphics card, and this is your power button at the back. So this case comes together in a very odd way, because to actually assemble it properly, you need to have this back panel off first. I'll do a separate video showing how it's assembled, but what I will show you first is how this all comes together. So the back panel comes off using 6 countersunk screws in this case. And I'm just going to take off the bottom 2 first, and you can already see here now, as this is just fabricated, folded aluminium, sheet aluminium, and it's already splaying open. If I do the top 2 as well, one would expect it to become less rigid. There we go, 2 more in the middle. I've got to be careful now. I should have probably done the 2 middle ones first, because it's less rigid down the center, because there's only support from the top. So let me just get this. Oh, this is a bit. There we go. Right, there we go. So the power button is mounted to the back. You might want to, the screws aren't mounted completely in, because I believe there's a bit of wiggle room for things to move about. You might be able to put some washers in between the PCB for the power switch and the mounting hole standoffs, and you might be able to get a more flush finish. But if you make it flush, then you won't be able to press the power button. As you can see here, you got your power button and the power LED cables for your front panel headers. They're literally the only things on here. So this back panel, once everything's installed, ends up going here. This top part goes underneath and slips under the top panel, with the bottom side sitting on top. So that's the back panel. So then, now you look at from back to front now. You've got 2 screws here which hold this middle section in place. If I can actually unscrew it, because it's actually pretty difficult at this point. Right, let's have a look now. Got 1. And got 2. So you can probably see here now, I've got 2 screws and 2 spacers which hold this in place. So what's its purpose? So the idea is for you to mount your motherboard to this side directly first, and the other hardware that you need to mount it directly, then into the case to the front side, and after that you have to mount the rest of your hardware in to follow. It's very flimsy on its own by the looks of things, because obviously this is the motherboard tray, bracket, whatever you want to call it. And then you look, I'll just move that way now. If you look at the panel itself from the front, it's obviously not straight. It's actually bent. Very bent. You can see there's a bow here, which obviously is not desirable, but it is what it is. Once you fit everything together, it will straighten out, and that's how it should be. That's just the way this case is built. So yeah, that's my initial unboxing and first look at the case. At some point, I'll be building either building this case, or well, I actually also have a red version of this, so I'll probably do the building that. I've also got some other testing coming up for thermals on an RTX 2070 Aero ITX, which I unboxed in my first video. And I'll also do some thermal testing on a CPU code, which is a Thermalright AXP90, which is not available in the UK because it's China exclusive as well as, say, this case. So yeah, thank you very... I can't speak now. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you found this video interesting. And yeah, until then, I'll see you in the next one.